what happens when you are a securely attached, healthy self worth lover. So, you're a person who knows how to love yourself first. That means that your 1 year old is not an attached panicky. Okay, so raise your hand if you have integration of the brain. I do. That means flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable. So when you are interacting with any person, it doesn't matter if they are securely attached, if they have a 1 year old in the forefront or not, it has no effect if they're in their maladaptive child behavior with you. You are a pacha and you know how to share a functional adult love language. Okay, so that's because your nervous system stays regulated. You'll know this. While those who don't know it, basically, they will be looking like the squirrel from Cusco land when they say, I'm standing up for myself, and they shut you down from chit chatting about whatever it is you're talking about. Okay, the love dependent are the ones that come to mind. They are within the shame group, manipulative and desperate. And then within the grandiose group, they become controlling and angry. And then for the love avoidance, they disappear and they stay at home and upset, depressed, and really, really a bad catastrophe, black and white thinking, you name it, if they have the love avoidant. So that's shutting themselves out because emotions are overwhelming. So none of this is funny, but they're not people who will be consistently showing up. And if they're grandiose, they just leave you behind thinking, I'm better than them, but they're really closing that heart off. So if you're a person who has emotional awareness and your thought awareness, so you're self-reflective, you're self-aware, you regulate, and therefore you don't project. You don't do inner critic. So you don't have split thinking, and that means extreme, black and white, like it'll never, ever, ever happen. I will never find someone because, okay, that's teenage talk, is how I'm going to use the word. So Cusco's a teenager, Potch is the adult. Cusco's the maladaptive child, Potch is the functional adult. Okay, so when you hear me using these words, whiners are maladaptive children, and there are plenty who are not doing anything about it. So they're Pinocchios with ears and a tail that are still on the island, even though they might not turn into donkeys. They might, we don't know. But those are not securely attached, healthy self worth lovers. That's why they don't know how to love themselves first. And that's why people think loving oneself is a myth, or that you shouldn't be yourself. They don't know that being yourself is when you're back home to your authentic self. That's being yourself. At least according to the attachment trauma information researchers, therapists that I learned from, every one of us begins life with the expecting of consistent contingent communication. So your brain has an attachment system like mine, and mine got satisfied. Also, we all have this thing called restorative embodiment, and they say that there's a rupture, but some of us don't have that rupture. And here's where grace is what I'm going to use as a word, or akash, or consciousness, or simply restorative embodiment. And I thank Jesus and God, though, because, that helped me to maintain the connection. And that's here, as I did meet adolescents who were unkind. Okay, so the journey to solopoly for some of us is not traumatic. Some people think that it's because of trauma that I get to be here. And I'm like, no, I have twin flames. It's not saga or drama. But yeah, we have had our things. That doesn't mean in here drama. Because I have a window welcome, not laundry as emotions. The only people who feel laundry as emotions are the people who feel thinking as hard, and that's called rigidity or chaoticness, and I don't have either. I know what's going on in here, and that's because my left and right mode are friends. I put my left foot in, my right foot in, and I have a default mode network. It's down regulated when I'm presented to you, and myself is not scanning other because I have a safe environment, securely attached, healthy self-worth, loving myself first. It's the only way you're going to love another. Okay, that's why Terry Real, great therapist, says they tell you to love yourself first, but every person that I've met says it's confusing. I'm like, I don't think it's, I have all the answers. Ask me, ask me, ask me. I know how to love yourself first. But then again, I have a twin, so I was already sharing life and connecting to another solo self, so I'm good with the spirituality trueness too. That's why we can't stand to be with spiritual bypassers. No, we can be with all people. A spiritual bypasser is an inner child who needs to let me out, let me out. So we're like, oh, let me hug your inner child for a little bit, if they let us. Sometimes they won't. So here's where I'm a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. So yeah, there's no protection, rejection. Those are spiritual bypassers too. The mantles of mental health, they call each other names. They objectify, in fact, their entire relationships because they give each other labels. So that's why for the solopoly, it's relationship anarchy, non-hierarchical. How dare you give a value to a human being? That's a good story. So I actually shared that to me, all people are worthy. Like I've shared to people that I love all people equally. And then I've also shared that I have more than one person that is not just a friend, you know? So when people don't like what they hear and they don't accept that somebody can love differently than they can, I guess, you know, then you have Stephen Porges who proves to me that the way that I love is the healthy way because it's in your secure attachment. See, your oxytocin gene hormone turns on when you're securely attached 0 1 year old and your default mode network is downregulated. So I can actively give an explanation, which people say, I find it hard to believe. And I'm like, yeah, I got 2+ years of, of courses and I'm still learning more. I'm not going to try to talk to you, Cusco. You find it hard to believe sciences. That's great. You find it hard to believe spirituality and Reiki. I mean, really, you find it hard to believe that I bring human, spiritual, and spirituality elements together. I think you don't know consilience. I also think your left mode is on. And I don't think you know how to share the floor, 3-year-old, because, you know, you have something else going on. So let me leave that alone and just share the journey to here is one that is fun for a 5D mystic, Enlightenment Soul Age group, divine feminine with my own divine masculine, but with my own divine masculines. And so here's where my twin flames is a beautiful journey for me. Now, if you ask people who are tortured by emotions, and I mean the ones who have a window of tolerance, but also they want a golden star every time they're being generous, yeah, the ones who say, they betrayed me, they didn't do this. So people who have these opinions, teenage me, my teenage boyfriend, he cheats on me. Don't you think I'm going to ask you about your phone or any of this? You didn't lose trust. Otherwise, I just would not be with you. And when things took place again, we talked about it because that's what a functional adult knows how to do. You don't need to be an adult. It's called I'm an emotionally aware, accountable, self-regulating nervous system with a brain that thinks, and I don't really care about what my society is judging. I'm having a relationship, okay? So it's not traumatic, but it's something that, of course, involves emotions. When you are emotionally mature, accountable, and self-regulating, it's because you don't spend time ruminating in your temporal junction. Emotions last 60 seconds. And when you're using your prefrontal cortex, so this is a mechanism that I can explain because I know exactly what's happening in my brain because I have the sixth sense interoception, whatever the word is. I can feel a lot of things going on. And that's because I have, what was it, the insula? The insula is active. And that's because I have a secure head and body. So I don't have trauma stuff lingering. Okay. And I have these eyes because my eyes are dry, but also I have a serious look. Okay, so I'm gonna try and look away so that I can give my eyes a break from the screen. I'm used to doing audio, and when I am here, I also try to make sure that we don't go too much in the front of the time. So I try to keep it short a little bit every now and then. Okay, long story short, if you have questions, let me know. And as I was trying to say, for the 5D collective, we don't have this tragedy because we have a good relationship with ourselves, but also we want to have a relationship with others. So humanity, we are not misanthropists. And so we don't talk about people like pieces of shit. They're people. And if anything, we know about attachment and trauma, or some of us do. So again, I respectfully know that if people want to be engaged in relationships, they will. And if they don't, then it's not about protection, rejection. And I'm so happy that I'm here for the 5D mystics so that they don't have to go through ignorance, because 4D and 3D are ignorant. Yoga does not bring demons out of your body. Mindfulness meditation, no, but trauma charges linger in your body. So you want to be aware of people who are attachment and trauma informed and good therapists, because they will help to give good psych education like I try to do and integrate it all. Okay, so holistic is great, but you want to also have somebody who's knowledgeable about how your body, your embodied brain works, and then that takes your mental health seriously, so your inner and outer well-being. And that's why with relationships, again, polyamory, it's a lifestyle choice. Some embody it, like me. Others, they're testing it out. They don't know. And that's because there's more than one person they love in a non-conventional friendship way. So the people who are judging our community, We don't care if you are an empowered person, you understand. And so, no, you don't care here. It doesn't mean you don't care about them. It means you can say to me your opinion about polyamory, and I will just say, okay, you got an opinion. That's what a differentiated self, that's linking to another differentiated self, which is what functional adults do. Okay, so that's why a securely attached, healthy self worth lover is the same person who can help somebody who is serious about healing their trauma to actually get to the other end of the journey, because they get to reparent themselves and to actually have a person who's going to do direct communication. I'm not going to treat you like a baby. And if you have a catastrophizing brain and a split brain thinking black and white forever, never, ever, but you don't know how to speak to me, then you haven't chosen love yet. You're still with the fear. You're still with the ignorance of the maladaptive child stuff. You're still not aware of the good psych education out there. And you're still not aware of people that are like me. That's the 5D collective. There's plenty more than just me. Okay, so an empowered woman does not treat anybody like a Cusco type personality, and they're not out there saying, yes, bears are safer than men. They're out there knowing that it's a much more in-depth conversation. They're also not saying that short-term relationships are a waste of time and that you should be married by the age of 22. They're also not saying you shouldn't. They're going to be talking about there's different cultures, there's different thoughts. The grown, empowered women and men in days will be people who know, okay, you will have a way you love, I will have a way I love, and we have some new ways that people are chit-chatting about it. Okay, so for me, the journey here, I could have been a solopoly already as a teenager, but that's where when your experiences are just beginning and you live in a monoamory world, the reality is every single one of those lovely, dramatic, don't put movies in, because, even if they had something that was opening up to a wider audience, if you will, they're all in drama. Everything I see online is basically a maladaptive child with unfinished business, which kind of makes me laugh because that's not what love is. Love is independent when you're securely attached within yourself, which is why, again, you have healthy self worth, which means you do know how to love this. So you say to somebody who is not emotionally aware, this isn't satisfactory. You're not emotionally aware. You're not mentally aware. I don't feel heard. I don't feel that I can be myself. I'm going to let you know. And if you don't know how to converse with me on that, then you're not going to be choosing love. You're going to choose fear. And choosing fear is something that a person knows is happening. Now, whether we can understand that there's overwhelm, again, if a person is overwhelmed, they can look at their environment and outside and they'll notice that what they're feeling and what they're chit-chatting about is inconsistent with what's happening outside themselves. So that's why an empowered woman won't be like, oh no, if it's twin flame or soulmate or something, they have to stick around. We're choice points for each other. Being lovers is a choice that you build as you speak and communicate with all of it. So choosing fear is a straightforward equation. When I see a maladaptive child, they've chosen fear. They're not opening up. They have unfinished business. As long as you have unfinished business, you're not yet a lover in my book, because your nervous system isn't vibing in the ventral vagal. I'm going to pick it up like that as soon as you begin to interact. By the third time we're interacting, if your fear comes up and you're not able to chit chat about it consistently, I notice every vibration because we're all a nervous system. I, on the other hand, am going to be uncomfortably uncomfortable for a person who's seeking a dysregulated nervous system. So if you're used to toxic relationships, you're not going to get that. And I'm going to end up being the evil bitch, evil witch, because it's just easy to use words for anyone when a person doesn't know what's going on inside and doesn't have enough of the psych education in a good way to say, okay, So yoga, 1, portfolio ventral vagal toning exercises, mindfulness meditation. It works the pillars of the mind, or it involves the pillars of the mind: focused attention, focused awareness, or focus attention awareness, bringing your awareness to the breath, all that stuff, and then that kind intention or neutral intention. But if you have a window of tolerance that you don't know yet, that's why it can get overwhelming. So if it gets really uncomfortable, you don't want to have the ignorant 4D collective or 3D collective. You want people who are sciences and spirituality, which you get here. I'm pseudoscience because I bring spirituality, and the human elements, okay? So, and also I'm not in the academic places doing all that stuff, but it's still sciences and spirituality, living that life of meaning with connection beyond the solo self, but also as a mystic with my own experiences. And I do have some reading material on all those, where we come from and not. But this is not about mysticism. As we conclude, it's about how easy it is for me to share with anyone my solopoly story. It's not about trauma, although people will think it is because they don't believe that people can have a good emotional relationship with their own inner brain. The thing is, I know, thanks to my attachment trauma information people, that I just don't use my temporal junction because I don't ruminate. I don't waste my time thinking about something. I will look at it. I'm the personalities that I learned from this rabbi about Jacob, Isaac, and Abraham. I have all three. So my inner growth mindset, what I created with psychology, sociology, and existentialism, it's a book and courses. So yeah, this is what Maria will do. Okay, so I accepted something I don't like. Yeah, well, we're going to process the emotions and we're going to, process our time. Okay, done. I have figured out what's going on. My emotions are upset. I didn't get something I wanted. I'm not going to bring it to you. I'm going to handle it because I can and because I have 24 hours. And because people make their own choices, if you don't know how to talk to me, I'm not going to force you to. If you don't know how to tell me what's in here, I'm not going to, again, force you to. Why? Because it's none of my business. And because a relationship between any two people, doesn't matter if you're a lover or a friend lover or whatever, because see, to me, everyone's a lover. But that romantic lover, you're not going to be romantic if you're not consistently showing up with an open heart and an open mind, and that you can talk about everything, not just some things. Because the truth is, when I see some people say, you can't say everything. No, if you're afraid of saying any of it, then it means, one, you don't know how to stand up for your own self. Again, this is where loving yourself first, number one. I'm not going to be ashamed of myself. I'm going to know when I'm respecting society because I don't break laws. I don't come ask you for stuff that isn't, I don't involve you in my emotional plane. I will bring to you something. Now, if you have a pressure and you don't tell me about that pressure, and again, you don't know how to have a continuous, consistent, contingent communication, I'm not going to be able to know that you are not securely attached. Now I do. And now that I do, this helps me to simply know what's going on in a very technical, psychoeducational way, which I don't bring to the person because those are the martyrs superiors. When people say, I think you're this, I think you need to do that. I did that as a teenager, not as a grown up, but as a grown up, if somebody's coming to me with their human suffering love narrative and they're throwing somebody under the bus consistently with their spiritual bypass, karmic mantle of mental health and yoga and all of it, that's when I'm going to say, you know what structural dissociation is? Let me explain it to you. Do you know about your 0 1 year old? Do you know about your 3 to 7 year old? Do you know about your ventral vagal nervous system? Okay, so let me explain. Can I? Do I have your permission to share with you these data points that I'm learning from my courses? Yeah? Okay, here they are. No, I just think men are fucked up and women are fucked up and humans are fucked up and everybody's shitty. Okay, there you go. So when Pinocchios with ears want to keep on doing the shame cycle, blame cycle, fault cycle, revenge cycle, the maladaptive child behavior cycle, the inner critic, chit chatter, outer critic, projecting, the fucking drinking, drugging, and whatever else self-soothing, and then they do I'm gonna close because the withdrawing is you just do it over again. We're not gonna be like, wow, they're so we're gonna be, when you present to somebody data point and they give you that problem for every solution, it's called a choice point. Because it's one thing if I say, hey, do you want Reiki? Which I don't, unless I know that there's somebody who's on a good journey and also other things, but good journey meaning that they take themselves seriously. Reiki will come when it's, well, that's for side note again, but the universal love energy, that's the thing. It's an intelligence. So we're all part of it. I don't need to do anything. But what my point was is that if somebody comes to me for something like that, and they're not doing the work, I will be able to make space for what's next. But if they're not working to identify the core content, as Dr. Daniel Fox shares, which would be the shame, the blame, the fault, and revenge, I'm using these, but he calls the core content. Then he calls maladaptive child behavior surface content, what you bring out there. So if you're not able to notice yourself and be self-reflective with your thoughts and your emotions, and you're not able to notice what's going on, it's not life that sucks. It's not love that needs suffering. It's you don't know that your dysregulated nervous system is continuing to seek the 0 to 8 years of your first. That's your karma. So Dharma wheel is not hard to explain. And you can ask me. I'm happy to explain it. I'm the human translator. Remember that? So with that self-help, personal development, people who are ready to take the emotions and they know what I'm talking about, at the very least of taking it seriously, because I'll know if there's need of extra help, because of the way that people who are, when they get, well, one, if a person gets overwhelmed, they are not going to have relationships with a healthy self-worth lover at all. You're a complete threat to them. Your securely attached nervous system is going to have that inner child just all over the place. So they have to be self-aware enough with the good psych education, and then to take it seriously, to say, wow, okay, wait a minute, I run away from what is actually love, and I think of home as what is unsafe because my home was full of dysregulated nervous systems. That's when a person can actually become a lover at some point. So yeah, anyways, for me, the journey to this place is really fun. We'll talk some more about it. And in the meantime, we want to build a collective of securely attached, healthy self worth lovers, those who know how to love themselves first. So come on over. And whether you're polyamory or monoamory, join us. And we'll be back again with more. If you have any questions, let me know. Like, share, subscribe. And I do this. It's food for thought. So there's no how-tos, not in these ones. That can be for membership content based on requests once we get to 1K. But for this, it's voices, stories, perspectives. And one thing I will say is that those who don't have a good window for themselves to emotions, and I say good because it feels really nice to have a good relationship with all of your emotions when you're securely attached. So a person who doesn't like all of the emotions, and what I mean is, I'm not going to present my body to anything that needs to be terrorizing or sympathetic, because it's not pretty. My body doesn't need to be in its survival mode. I'm not in the forest. I don't want to be. I like to have what is safe. My body likes to be in a safe environment. That is actually my mammalian heritage. Our mammalian heritage came about once we began to sit together as a herd. What people don't understand is that we are either in our mammalian heritage, and that's your restorative embodiment potential, and your body was seeking that, and well, it's seeking that consistently. If there was rupture, as your 0 1 year old is seeking for you to come home. So the gift of love is that your securely attached body will give the oxytocin gene hormone, and the love is on when you're good to be yourself. That's why you can love more people, not less. And also why when you do speak words, sickness and health, all this stuff, it's not only about a person that you would be romantically involved with. That's a whole different spectrum. There's all these different types of love. You ask me what love is. Love is me building a relationship with you. Love is when I am getting to just be around people. And then if you ask me what is it to build intimacy, now that's a different story, because I'm going to be building a level of intimacy depending on what level of intimacy not only you have with yourself, but what you want to share with me and what I want to share with you. And then besides that, we have, are you seeing me? So my sense of self will know when you're seeing me in my exact nature. And that's because I'll feel expanded. Like I'll know when I'm not being seen, because then I'll feel constricted. But that's where a healthy self-worth person like myself won't confine my mannerisms or who I am to restrict. I will present who I am. I will simply know that there are areas that are not welcome. So depending on what we're talking about or doing, but that's where it's not even something that you mentioned, because I'll use the example of mysticism. People who don't believe in it, when they tease about it, I know which ones are teasing in a way of talking down, and that means they think it's completely, bogus. I know the ones who are neutral about it, and they acknowledge I don't have the experience, but I know my friend or my lover or my person is talking to me about it, and I want to know about it because I care to be intimate. It's a part of their experience. And the ones who welcome it completely because they have same experiences and or similar, and they believe in it. And that's actually, obviously, once all of it is there, since being a mystic is something for us, it's really amazing. So yeah, it's fun when people listen to, when we have past life regressions through our Akashic record readings, when we have downloads, because these are very important, when we have dreams that are significant to us because there's stuff going on. And again, the 5D mystics, it's not to prove anything, but we know stuff's going on. So when you can share it in a safe space like any other person, which is why, again, healing trauma, it's with the right people and the right relationships. So come on over so that we can build safe networks for people who want to get those emotions in their mammalian heritage. And all of us can be here to tune in for more. Again, have a great day.